And at the moment, we're very happy to have with us Alan Moberg. He is putting on a show tonight at the Rainbow Chorale. And pleasure to have you with us today, Alan. How are you?
I'm great. It's really good to be back in Wetaskiwin. I feel like coming home again. I was here about 4 times last year, and the last time was in October, and it's really good to be back. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah. Well, October. That's been quite a while. So you missed the winter then?
Yeah. I was telling Tony we had a week of winter, and he said you've had winter since October.
Yeah, we sure have had. It settled in early and has been lasted for quite a while. So you're located out on Salt Spring Islands, from what I've been able to gather, and the weather out there is pretty good. What draws you into Alberta outside of the Wagon Master and the rest of the groups here to perform and stuff?
Mainly it's because of the Wagon Master and the others that I'm here. And I guess we formed a relationship last year, and I've done a number of shows here, and the last one, of course, George Hamilton IV and I were here, and so I've come strictly to spend some time with you folks in this area this weekend, and then I'll fly back again on Monday. So.
Yeah, super. Speaking of, you touched on George. I noticed in the bio that he has struck up quite a friendship, you and he, and actually is looking at and has recorded some of your music. Nice little bit of a musical relationship there. How did you find working with George while you guys were in town?
Oh, he's a superman. I first met him in 1970-ish, 71 or something, and he had recorded a song of mine called the Williams Lake Stampede at that time. And
right, okay.
I met him in Vancouver, and then he said, he was with his one of the record executives. He said, we're going to Victoria the next morning. He said, would you all like to come with us?
Yeah.
And so I went, and, virtually I was an unknown at that time, and but when they were interviewing George on the various radio stations we went to, every chance George got, he said, and then there's Alan Moberg again.
Okay, yeah.
So he's just a super, very genuine, wonderful human being.
Yeah.
And a great entertainer, too.
Yeah, we play quite a few of his recitations here, so that's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Alan, I want to welcome you once again to Wetaskiwin and, of course, to the Rainbow Chorale. We're looking forward to tonight, to you putting on a show, and you won't be on the stage alone. We've got some folks in here who just want to be a part of this, and Dynamics are coming in. They're going to play for a whole hour. You're going to just love them. Right. And then we've got Edith Fair and her daughter Melanie, and then we got Christiane. So you got lots of talent to open for you, and they're going to just make your show that much easier.
That's great. Lots of good talent here.
And we have Wee Willie here as well. And Willie, why don't you say hi to Alan?
Hi, Alan. Hey, how great to have you back at the Chorale again.
Thanks. Well, there's a face I always like to see when I come back. Yeah, wouldn't be the same without you, Willie.
No, I'll tell you what. He said he plans to go down to Montana this summer for a bit of a holiday, and down into the cattle country down there. And I told him, I says, the way he looks, I says, he fits right in.
Yes,
Alan,
sure.
Tell us a little bit about what's been happening in the music world for you. Since you've left here in October, what have you done? You've been out on a concert tour out there, what?
I've done a number of things in the local area. My season is kind of coming up now. I do a lot of work around Salt Spring, and I'm going to the Sunshine Coast in April. So it was almost like a little bit of a holiday for me from music. But we have taken 2 of my oldest albums and putting them to CD, and I have those, Keep It Simple and Walk in His Moccasins.
Oh,
there's a
beautiful.
picture of this 35-year younger kid on the album cover. So
you want to update it to what you look like today?
Well, I think we'll just
Scary.
We'll just leave it be. We'll just leave it be. I'll let the music match the picture.
You bet.
But so we've done some technical work and spent some time and just kind of getting into gear. So.
Well, we're just so happy that we've been a little bit of a part of your life, and of course we want to be able to do a whole lot more in the future, and we're looking right now, and I might as well let the cat out of the bag a little bit here, but we're looking at trying to team you up with Ken Grambo in September for the grand opening of the Opry season, and I'll tell you what, to get the 2 of you in here, Oh boy, would I have fun!
I would sure like that. 'Cause
Then
I've
I'd
heard
have two
so
people
much-
I could pick on.
I've heard so much about this guy, and
Oh, yeah.
I know how well liked he is and loved he is here. So
Yeah.
it would be an honor to be a part of that bill.
Yeah, no, he's we're talking to him already about that, and he actually sent us an email. Would you believe? Sent us an email saying that he is doing a concert tour of Alberta, and he was going to be in a particular church in our area, and he never gave us a date or the time or the church where he was going to be. So we
shows you how much he loves us.
Yeah, I guess something along that line.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Alan, give us a little bit of an idea what you're going to be doing tonight so that the folks can get a bit of an idea. There's still time to come in and get your advance tickets if you want to. Ticket booth is open yet for about another 45 minutes. If you want to come in and get your tickets, you'll save yourself $3 over the door price.
Well, I would just like to invite anybody who's sort of sitting on the edge or thinking they'd like to come, or somebody who's just tuned in and never heard me before, just please come out. I plan to do what I usually do, but which is lots of old time country, my own compositions. I'm probably going to sprinkle it with a few standards that people will know. I'll certainly do some gospel. And
I have come to believe you've got to do that one.
I will do that one. I will do that one. I wouldn't be allowed to leave Wetaskiwin.
No, you wouldn't.
Without doing
you
that.
would not. We would Shanghai you till you did it.
And above all, I'd just like to meet some people. And I think that's one time I went back to my hometown and they held a concert there, and people who hadn't seen each other for a long time all got together, even though they lived in the same town. And the woman, one of my old friends, said to me, "Alan, you're a good thing to gather around." So if that works, if people come and meet each other that didn't meet each other before or haven't seen each other, and I was just a catalyst in that.
Yeah.
And maybe a bit of a conduit of love. That's what really counts. So
Well, I'll tell you what. Tagalong has just joined us. Tagalong, you want to say hi to Alan?
Hi, Helen.
hi,
How are you?
Christy. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hear you tonight again and opening for you.
I'm looking forward to
All right.
opening for you, maybe.
No. I don't think that'll ever happen. I don't know how you do it. You guys do sing for a long time like that. I just can't. A few songs and I'm done.
Well, I think that I'm looking at the heart of Tag Recording and the Rainbow Chorale right here in Christie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christie
Yeah,
Lane.
Yeah,
a whole
it's
lot of
pretty
fun.
wonderful. And Alan, this is your interview, but we've got something here that I know you're interested in as well. And we have right in our studio here this afternoon, we've got Graham Southgate. He's in from Southgate Communications, and he is the major contractor in charge of putting together our Power Boost. And Graham, how about giving us an update here as to where we're at? You got something exciting that came into town this afternoon.
I sure did. In fact, I phoned you from Pinoca just to let you know it's on its way. We have in the back of my truck your antennas and your coaxial line to go up the tower. So as soon as we can get that installed, hopefully this week coming up, we should be able to hook the amplifier up, be good to go by the end of next week or early into the following week. So it's real close.
Well, we're sure hoping that it will be next week. We'll see if we can pull a few strings, and I've been kind of telling the folks Wednesday, well, we could stretch it into Thursday, but we got to have it by Thursday.
Well, that's the way I'd be sort of going to. I tell them the same thing. It has to happen today, guys.
Okay, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Our antenna is in town. You want to see what it looks like? It's on Main Street, heading out for the tower site, so or something. I guess we got to find a place to store it till you do that, eh?
Well, hopefully we'll leave it in your back of your trunk. No.
Okay, we'll put it on the, hey, I got a good idea. Let's go put it on the stage of the corral, and that way all the people coming in or tonight to see Alan will be able to see the antenna and say, whoa, they're close.
It's really
Well,
happening.
That would be one way to do it. Yes, for sure it would.
Okay, thanks, Graham, and we just really appreciate that. Back to you there, Alan, and I'll tell you what are the plans for the future? Do you have any that you haven't shared with us yet?
No.
Well,
A nice
guess-
succinct answer.
I guess we're just going to have to get some plans for him then.
Yeah, well, it's
More will be revealed.
good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'll tell you, we have a song on deck here. I just wanted to play one and just let the folks listen to what they can expect. We've got all sorts of stuff that is available, and there's CDs. I know she had a nice box along. We'll have some of those available for everyone. Marilyn just came by, and I know that she wants to say hello as well.
You bet.
Hello, Alan. How are you?
Hi, Marilyn.
I've got a good job for you come winter time. I was spent a month in Arizona, and you would fit in with that bunch down there singing every weekend at the RV parks. At Yuma alone, there's over 100 RV parks, and we had Gene Gibo down there one weekend, and he was awesome, and you would be more awesome.
Sounds great.
There you go. You see, that was your mistake, Alan. You did not have any plans, so we're going to make them for you.
All right. Okay.
Okay, it's old,
You
old
bet.
home time.
Yeah, and actually, we got the Antique joining us here as well.
Hi.
And I just want to tell you there, Antique, the antenna is on Main Street. We're that close to our power boost.
And that's what I came to look at, Tony, but for some reason I can't see it. Now, you shouldn't be able to miss something as big as an antenna, should you? But
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You have to open your eyes to see.
okay, well maybe
And you're so stuck on antiques that you're probably looking for an antique antenna out there.
that's right too. You know, I still might be looking for one of those really old cast iron ones.
You bet. So anyway, it's in town, and Graham is here, and he is saying hopefully next week. And Paula, our station manager, she found it for you, so now you'll be able to go and see it. All right, getting back to Alan.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on, been kind of taking a look at some of your older works and the new one, the Home and Dry CD. I've noticed as I was looking through some of the artists that have been working with you on that one, that is quite a group that you have with this. Can you fill us in on just some of the artists that you've been working with over the last little while, and maybe some of the guys that are on the new record with you?
Well, one of the notable names is Bill Henderson. We were talking about that earlier.
Sure.
Who's an old rocker from a group called Chilliwack, and
Yeah.
we were at one of the big events in Salt Spring is the Fall Fair. It's a really a good old country fall fair, and
Right.
I was on just before Bill and mentioning I had a new album come out and that I was still making it. And Bill came up to me afterwards and he said, "I like the songs you write,
Yeah.
and I like
yeah.
the way you sing." He said, "If you need a voice, you need a guitar, call me up." Well, I was
that
almost
right?
a little bit shy to do this, But somebody encouraged me to do it, and
Sure.
sure enough, he came down and harmonized on 2 songs and put guitar on at least 1, if not 2. So he's a fantastic guy. And of course,
Yeah.
Baldy is on there, and there's a song I wrote for Baldy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's so when he's home, he may be a star on the road, but when he's home, he's a good old boy. He's always in his work clothes, and
yeah.
just like I say on the album. So Baldy came and sang harmony on his album.
Uh-huh.
Also another, I don't know, oh boy, his name is, there's a fiddler on there. I can't think of his name now.
Let's see. I'm just looking through the
Anyways, he's very well known, and he came and played fiddle.
Daniel. would be-
Daniel Lapp.
Yeah.
Daniel Lapp. And so, yeah, so these guys just came and helped out. Well, some of them was a bit of a ticket item, but
Sure. Well, I've noticed on some of your earlier stuff, a lot of it is just yourself and acoustic guitar and voice, which is really nice. So it's interesting that you would have spread out a little bit more and invited some of these fellows to come in and to back up with you. Was there any reason why you're just sort of expanding your sound
well,
that way? Or?
if you went back farther in my records, you would have found it more fully produced.
Right, yeah.
And then a lot of times I found that people said, "We just want to hear you and guitar," or "We just want a simple rendition."
Great.
And sometimes if you don't have the dollars to
Exactly. Hey?
and maybe if you don't have the expertise to produce something larger
Yeah.
right nearby, so that's why I went to the simplified version for a time. And yeah,
Well, I notice a lot of our listeners really pick up on your stuff really quickly. When we put them out on the air, when we play your songs, it's usually 3 or 4 bars before someone phones in and says, "That's Alan Moberg. Tickets still available for the show," and that sort of thing. So you're definitely well known around here. And like I had mentioned, the stuff that's just basically your voice and your guitar really are popular. Is that kind of going to be the format of the show tonight?
that'll be the format
Oh,
tonight.
super,
Yeah,
super.
Yeah.
I think what it is people like the down home feeling that they get with you, Alan. You're just one of us. And so after you're done singing and your show is complete, people feel comfortable to be able to walk up to you and to talk with you and so on. And I think that's one of your major drawing cards. And when you first started here, of course, nobody knew you. Each time you come, it's getting a little bit better. Of
Yeah.
course, once we get the power boost in here, it'll be that much more.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
And
Well-
and of course, we want to be able to get in behind you even more, and others like you, to be able to help promote this great Canadian talent that doesn't get promoted otherwise.
Sure.
Well, talking about being one of you, I really hope I am, because
You are.
what we hear about prairie people is that they're really down to earth and they're straightforward. And in fact,
Yeah.
a drummer I had on one of my old albums who played with me, a guy named Bill Watson out of Saskatoon. We just had a reunion because he had a stepdaughter in Salt Spring. But he was musing to me and he said, and he's a prairie guy, he says, prairie people, he says, if you try to snowball them, he says, if you try to make like you're better than them, he said, they'll bring you down.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty
There
much,
you go.
Yeah, that's pretty
I'll
much
tell you what there, City Slicker, why don't you push a button on Alan Moberg's song, and let's give him a little break, and let's hear what Alan Moberg sounds like. This is what you're going to get tonight on the stage at the Rainbow Corral.
Well, sure. We were just talking earlier about Valdi, and I'd like to share that song with everybody. I'm a Valdi fan myself, and I know you had mentioned that you and he had co-worked together for quite a while. So, well, let's just give that one a listen, shall we?
sounds good. Here's a little tune I wrote for Valdi. You can hear him most years at the fall fair. Sometimes you'll catch him at Moby's bar. You might see him strolling down Stewart Road, strumming his guitar. He belongs to the world, but he's one of us. He's a good old boy and he's a star. Think he might be singing this song when he comes home from afar. Put me on the Fulford Ferry, I've sung my songs again. From Toronto down to Texas, to Newfoundland and back again. I wanna see the light on the Salt Spring shore and in the eyes of my Kathleen. Coming home on the Fulford Ferry is the best place I have been. You can play your Celtic music, play the blues, jazz or swing. If you play it from the heart on this island, you can play most anything. I will pick you a little bit of country where we can dance and we can sing. But when it comes to music on Salt Spring Island, Baldy's still the king. Singing, put me on the Fulford Ferry, I've sung my songs again. From Toronto down to Texas, to Newfoundland and back again. I wanna see the light on the Salt Spring shore and in the eyes of my Kathleen. Coming home on the Fulford Ferry is the best place I have been. I wanna see the light on the Salt Spring shore and in the eyes of my Kathleen. Yeah. Coming home on a Fulford Ferry is the best place I have been. When it comes to music on Salt Spring Island, Valdy's still the king.
Thank you.
And they-
Thank
they-
you very much.
Oh, sorry, there's a little bit
Merci.
of
Merci
Elvis
beaucoup.
there. But beautiful stuff. Just absolutely love that. That was Song for Valdi from Alan Moberg, and he will be performing tonight here at the Rainbow Corral, and we are blessed enough to have him sitting with us microphone side. Now, that song, when it was introduced, you mentioned that you had written it for Valdi. Can you expand kind of on your relationship with him a little bit for us?
Well, Baldy had known who I was. He used to have a TV show called Inside Tracks,
Oh,
and Baldy hosted, but of course he never met us. We the performers on it, we did the videos, so he knew who I was, and I guess from other music. And when I came to Salt Spring at the fall fair, we were following Valdi the first year I was there, and just the place was just packed, and of course they didn't necessarily all stay for us, but Valdi is so well loved on Salt Spring, and I just
Sure.
thought he deserved to be acknowledged. And when I say Valdi's still the king, he gets a little bit embarrassed about that.
Oh,
he said,
yeah.
Alan, he said, you and I are only courtiers.
Right.
And he said, Murray Schulbraid, who's an old Scottish gentleman, he's probably the king, he said.
Uh-huh.
So he's quite modest about it, but he was happy to come and harmonize. And if you notice, he even follows me a bit on the yodel there, so
Right.
not
yeah.
to be outdone, old Valdi.
Yeah, that's something
yeah.
I could never do as a yodel, so we won't even go there. But yeah, I've had the opportunity to experience Valdi's music and to meet him as well at a couple of the folk festivals that we have here in the Edmonton area. And like you mentioned, just a humble guy, fantastic person.
Full of
and-
life.
Yeah, he's just he's
All over
always
the place,
moving.
yeah.
It's just fantastic
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
it's neat that as again going back into your bio, the different life experiences that you've had and the way you're able to portray those and paint a beautiful picture in your lyrics that really gives the listener a chance to get into what you're saying and sort of live your life with you almost, which is really nice. And I just had to touch base in regards to the work with the First Nations people that you had in the Salt Spring area. I'm not going to try and pronounce the names. That probably will be your boat there, but can you kind of give us a background on that? It's
Well,
found it quite interesting.
Yes, I've for many years had an affinity for the First Nations people, and my dad was a fisherman. I was born and was basically in the fishing industry, and we would go north, and of course met many natives in that pursuit.
Okay, would that be out in the west coast there, right?
On the
through
west coast and farther north than Salt Spring,
Oh, okay, super.
as you know, the
Yep.
central, what they call a central coast.
Beautiful.
In the early 70s, probably 1973 or 74, a chief up in Hazelton, or Kispiox, which is right near a place called Hazelton, which is between Prince Rupert and Prince George, roughly. He adopted me and gave me a name. Actually, his mother adopted me because
Oh.
it's a matriarchal society.
Mhm.
And how it works is that each family has a clan.
Okay.
And if I was born into a native family in that area, then I would get my mother's crest, and rather than my father's.
Sure.
At any rate, he gave me the name Stamalit, which means half a killer whale.
Oh.
And it is a hereditary name, which one gentleman said to me after the night I attended a feast and actually made it formal, that as far as he knew, it went back at least 300 years, so it was quite an
Wow.
honor. Yeah, so that's how that came about. And then I've also been adopted into another family in a place called Bella Coola, and informally adopted another place called Bella Bella. So
Oh, is
these
that right?
ties go back a long ways. And originally, it was back in the days when some of us were partying, and originally there was alcohol in our meetings, you might say.
Sure.
But as time went by, we all quit drinking, and
Mhm.
but the seed of the relationship we formed flowered more, and
Yeah.
has been very deep. I sing at a lot of funerals, unfortunately, but I seem to be the choice for a lot of people in those bands to be with them at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other times I sing as well, but it's an honor to be able to go and be part of that grief, if you will, or some kind of support.
Yeah. Well, it's a great time to share
So-
the celebration of life.
Yeah, exactly, and it's very it's fulfilling as well as sad. Sad. And we were talking about a song that might go with this. There's a song on the Home and Dry album. It actually is on Northern Love, but Home and Dry I like the version better, called "Return to the River." And this song was inspired by two families, one from Bella Coola and one from Bella Bella, and they intermarried. And I guess it's about perhaps a lost daughter returning to the village. It's about me wanting to go back to the family, and so it's just those type of emotions. So that
Great.
song
That's
would
a-
go well.
That's
yeah.
a super song, and like you say, it's just a nice way to really paint a picture. So, return to the river.
and a life so much different than the village was found. But deep in your heart, in your soul and your mind, you must remember the laughter of an earlier time. Won't you return to the river, for it's flowing still. It's saying we love you, and we always will. Cedar branches are hanging o'er a fast flowing stream, and a plane flying you homeward is our greatest dream. Roads are all paved now, the boardwalks are gone, and the old house we lived in was finally torn down. But the mountain's still standing by the river so deep. Oh, I believe even the cedar trees, they long for you. Won't you return to the river, for it's flowing still. It's saying we love you, and we always will. Cedar branches are hanging o'er a fast flowing stream, and a plane flying you homeward is our greatest dream. Return to the river, to your mother and
And there we go, Alan Moberg, Return to the River, fantastic song. And again, still sitting with our interview and the opportunity to talk with Alan about that. And he wove us a nice little picture in regards to what that was. There's a couple of different mixes you mentioned in regards to that song. Most of the recording, I noticed when I looked at it, was done in the Salt Spring area. Do you use pretty much the same guys most of the time for your production, or is it? Do you have a favorite worker like Tony or somebody?
well, there's been 2 albums done on Salt Spring, and basically there was 2 different sets of musicians. So there's a lot to draw on Salt Spring. So I'm not necessarily exclusive to anybody particular. And there were 2 different producers on the different albums. So we'll see what happens next time.
Yeah. And I was upstairs looking for your album Northern Love, because we are going to finish up this interview with a particular song on there. So I managed to find it.
Would that be the Williams Lake Stampede?
Williams Lake Stampede, exactly. I'm sorry about that. Just wanted to touch base with that one as well, from the Northern Love album. And that, I guess, would be your department to kind of give us an idea about how it came to be. You were invited, actually, it says, to Williams Lake to reintroduce the song. So was it was done prior?
That song's been recorded, that's the third time. That song was originally released in 1970, and actually was covered by George Hamilton IV, recorded in Nashville with such marvelous musicians as Pete Drake and Charlie McCoy on it. But
Wow.
I'll tell you how that song was written. There was a fellow that was a country music artist around the mainland in the 70s, and as well as being a country music artist, he was a realtor. And he had this. There was some real estate they were selling in packages up near 100 Mile House, the 108 Mile Ranch. It was
Yes,
called.
I know that.
Now
ranch.
somebody wanted to do an album, and he wanted some caribou songs. So I wrote 4 or 5 caribou songs.
Okay,
The Williams Lake Stampede being one of them.
sure.
Spade Nielsen never did make his album, but I ended up with that song, The Williams Lake Stampede. Caribou Sunrise, The Spell of the Caribou.
Yeah.
And at any rate, that's how that song was born. And then I have for about 9-10 years straight, I was at the Williams Lake Stampede, and that song is heavily associated with Williams Lake. So I guess I think of it maybe like back east there used to be a song called the Squid Jigging Grounds.
Yep.
So I kind of think of it as
Yep.
my classic out in this
Yeah.
area, the Williams Lake Stampede. So
Request for that, but I could never figure where you were supposed to jig for the squids from. But it's always interesting. So well, I'll tell you, it has been an absolute pleasure, the opportunity to speak with you. And the show tonight, doors open at 7:00, and I believe we have a couple of artists prior to you, but 8-ish. Sometime like that would probably be stage time for Alan. Tickets are available. You want to get them early because they're selling very, very fast. And gosh, anything that you'd like to add just before we go?
I'd just like to say that I know we'll find space for you, and just come on down. I'd love to meet you. And I think of it, there's a bunch of friends out there I just haven't met yet, and I'd love to come
There
down
you
and share
go.
some music with you, and hopefully see you tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to say thanks to all these lovely folks here for keep having me back.
Yeah,
Thanks.
well,
Well, you're quite
it's
welcome.
definitely our pleasure.
I know that this morning when I arrived at work, I actually met one of the bank ladies from next door, and she said, "You have a concert on tonight, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, I do." She goes, "Maybe I should find some company and come." And I was about to say to her she could come by herself and find some company here, and she said, "Well, maybe I'll come by myself." And I said, "Well, there'll be lots of people for you to meet, that's for sure."
Great.
Yeah, there we go. And ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you, Alan, and we'll just go out with the Williams Lake Stampede.
At the Williams Lake Stampede. Come along, friend, and see part of the last frontier with me. We'll pack our gear and head for the rodeo. We'll camp outside of town, right next to the big fairground. We're gonna see the sights at the Williams Lake Stampede. Hey, they're coming from Sugarcane, Horsefly, Clean Alkali, Prince George, and Cornell. Coming from Soda Creek, Cache Creek, Anaheim, Bella Coola, Lillooet, you know darn well. They'll come from far and wide to have a little drink and watch the cowboys ride, singing doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo at the Williams Lake Stampede. Those broncs from Mulva Hill, they'll test the cowboys' skill. We'll watch them ride those mean old Brahma bulls. We'll shake hands with old friends that we're glad to see again. We're gonna meet them all at the Williams Lake Stampede. There's a pretty girl I know there, big brown eyes and long black hair. As the guitars play, we'll dance beneath the stars. But at noon when I awake,
I might feel my poor headache from the night before at the Williams Lake Stampede. Hey, they're coming from Kersley, South Fort, Lone Butte, Little Fort, the Gang Ranch, and Hansville. Coming from Red Rock, Nicola, Kamloops, Savannah, the 100 Mile, yes they will. They'll come from far and wide, have a little drink and watch the cowboys ride, singing doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo at the Williams Lake Stampede. Hey, they're coming from Sugarcane, Horsefly, Clean Alkali, Prince George, and Quinnell. Coming from Soda Creek, Cache Creek, Anaheim, Bella Coola, which you know darn well. They'll come from far and wide. Bring all the kids, watch the cowboys ride, singing doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo at the Williams Lake Stampede. Hey, we're going to the big stampede. It's the Williams Lake Stampede.